One guy left a Power 5 conference for another Power 5 conference. One guy might have been on his way out anyway and left voluntarily, and the other guy is Jamie Dixon. Did Pitt just swap out one coach of a similar variety for a new coach? That seems to be the take so far, Guy Junker. Tim Benz with you as well on the Trib Live Boarding Show. I put a poll up there, and the immediate response I got from Pittsburgh Panther fans, this coaching hire, 88% disapproval rate since I put it up about 24 hours ago with Kevin Stallings, now the head coach of the Pitt Panther basketball team.
I have no rooting interest in it, and maybe look at it a little bit more open-minded than the average Pitt fan, Tim. I think you had two coaches that were in very similar situations at their universities. In fact, they'd been here the exact same amount of years if you count Jamie Dixon's time as an assistant coach at Pitt, 17 years, and I think both had gotten stale at the places they worked. There were rumors that Stallings would have been fired in Vanderbilt anyway, and there were a lot of drums beating surrounding Jamie Dixon. I don't think he'd have been fired, particularly because of the length of his contract while he was still here. But we always talk about guys. I don't think anybody would argue that these two guys are pretty good coaches and that both had gotten stale where they were. So maybe fresh starts for both will help. I certainly think Stallings is coming into a much better situation than where Jamie is going. I understand, especially with being teased with the fact that Sean Miller may have been coming here last week.
Does it feel like a disappointment compared to that?
It does. But I think if you just take a look at this guy, he doesn't look like the up-and-coming rising star that I think Pitt fans were hoping for.
No, he looks like Kevin from The Office.
Yeah, he looks older than he actually is at 55. But I think to me the big thing is I think there's going to be an improvement in recruiting here. The biggest knock on him from we had the Corey Curtis on last night, who's the sports director of our sister station from Channel 4 down in Nashville. He said he recruited well. I mean, he put 7 guys into the NBA draft and probably has 2 first-rounders on this year's team, which makes you wonder how in the hell you end up being in a play-in game, which tells you why he's in the situation he's in anyway. But I think that he's recruited well. He hasn't been able to, on the court, get the most out of the players that he has. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what a staff he hires. We talked last week about you could be a great recruiter and hire an X's and O's guy. You can be a great X's and O's guy and hire a great recruiter. I don't think anybody ever thought that Jamie Dixon was a great recruiter. Well, he didn't have the personality, I don't think, that, and when they had really great recruiting success, Barry Rorsch and guys like that were given the credit for it. So I don't hate it as much as the average Pitt. I know why Pitt fans hate it, but I also think you have to be realistic about what was available out there.
Well, speaking of insight from the Nashville area, John Burton, our friend, is going to join us coming up in about an hour from right now. This is the first hour of the program, brought to you by the Team Spanos Group of Raymond James, recently highlighted as the face of financial guidance in Pittsburgh Magazine. Guy Junker with Tim Benz, and obviously the reaction to the Stallings news has not been received warmly by the Pitt fan base, and I'm wondering, does that already mean they've swung and missed at one specific part of this coaching change? It felt like what they wanted to do was to bring in somebody new to re-energize the fan base, because what used to be a great place to go watch a basketball game has been sagging of late in terms of experience, in terms of enthusiasm, and just raw attendance numbers.
That to me is the biggest mystery of it, Tim. If that was, and as you know, last week I was worried that they were going to go after a flash over substance guy just because they were worried. They were worried more about image. I think this is the exact opposite. They're worried more about the basketball part of it, and attendance will take care of itself if the guy wins. It bothers me that I don't know. Do all big universities hire a search firm when they're looking for a major coach?
Okay, the search firm thing.
This is what it bothers me, that they hired one, and that the search firm comes up with a guy that he had hired twice before, the guy that runs the search firm.
I think in a large part you hire the search firm because the optics on the outside then appear to be, well, they're doing diligent work here. They're going through proper channels. They are taking people from the outside with allegedly no influenced opinion to tell you who your best hire should be. And then you peel away the layers of the onion and you find out it's the exact opposite. That you might have been better served by doing it yourself, because everybody is so intertwined in college athletics, you can't get 2 or 3 generations removed. It's like the Kevin Bacon game, 6 degrees of separation. You can't get 6 degrees of separation in college basketball before you know people who know each other directly from working somewhere else.
Especially when you have an athletic director that is considered a basketball guy who just a year ago was the chair of the selection committee, who played the game, who seems to be connected. Do you need to have someone else go
Do you need to have somebody else to rely on your opinion, especially one who might have his opinion tainted based on a previous relationship?
I mean, financially, you feel like you're duped. You spend all this money for the search firm, and they go out and pick the guy that he had already hired before. So that part of it bothers me a little bit, and I understand.
It smacks of cronyism is what it does.
Yeah, it does.